Alright, so for this first tutorial, I'm going to explain and go through all the steps it takes to make a building of your own, a custom building, what you need to do for each kind of building, and then how you can then put it in your game, or alternatively, put it on the workshop even. When it comes to finding new materials or new parts you want to use for your building editor, you can find it in the workshop, and it'll be under building editor elements. There's not a lot of mods on the workshop, there's only one page worth, but I'm like subscribed to half of these anyways. Also, if you do want to find buildings that have been made in an editor on the workshop, perhaps you want to get some inspiration, you can find it all the way down the bottom here, made in editor, and you'll find all of these. This is the screen you'll get when you first load into the building editor. Up on the top left, we have the settings, which will give you the exit, the save, and whatnot. This is to save your building, and you can load previous buildings you've made here, which is where they'll come in. For instance, this is my Mikoyanka A building, which I can load here just by doing that. And I can show you that here. Okay, so let's get a few basics out of the way. First things first is camera movement. Now, the camera movement is very different to normal movement. You'll find that out very quickly. The zoom, to zoom in, you probably might try the scroll wheel. It doesn't work. You can move around with WASD like this, right? Right click and drag turns your camera like this, off the center for some reason. You can't do it any other way as far as I know. Like my usual key to pan around a certain subject doesn't work. You can do this though. Look around like it's a first person view. There's the sun. Now, how do you zoom in? Hold right click, right? So you're doing this. Then push W. Then S to zoom out. So, and then you can combine it all together to do a little pan like this. And great. There you go. So if you want to move to new floors, you can either click on an item up there or down here or whatever to click onto the floor you want to go to, or alternatively you can use the up and down arrow keys to move between floors. So let's say you have 2 floors, but you forgot to build something on that floor. Oh no, right? See down here on the bottom left, I've got the ground floor, which is this here, first floor, which is here, but there's nothing in the top floor. No worries, hit the up key. Now you're on the 3rd floor. Bam, floating entrance. Amazing. Buildings have an object limit, right? So let's take this, for instance. Let's just copy the floor up and up and up and up. I've already hit the model. And just to cover all the bases, let's go through quickly all the different little controls and how to place things down and build stuff. So first of all, building parts is where you're going to be spending most of your time. If you're already in a menu like this, just hit this double arrow backwards key and you'll get your elements, right? Don't tick custom use, don't tick this box, which is use custom NMF, right? Don't tick that. We're just going to leave that alone, alright? I can explain what that is later, but it's not part of the basics. You don't need to worry about it. All of your mods will be here. They'll have a little download arrow sign. We're not going to use any of those for this tutorial. I just have them because I like to use them. So we'll just use, again, a basic one. Now, simply put, you just left click on any object you want and it will come into the space. This grid, you don't have to worry about it. You can place all the way out here if you want, right? We've already gone over camera controls as well. Escape gets rid of it. Left click on this, left click on the ground. Simple as that, right? Click on something, red means it's highlighted. Delete key deletes stuff. You can click on something, click and drag. You can click, and if you click again somewhere else, it also deselects. Click, click and hold, drag. Simple as that. Click, click and hold, rotate with the scroll wheel, rotates it around. Simple as that. So, to explain how the rest of all the other basic parts of the building editor function, I'm going to have to build stuff, since most menus, as you can see me trying to click on them, everything from building settings across to various, They don't open unless you have something on here. I've opened up a new, a completely new, fresh blank canvas. You can do that just by hitting New Building in the Settings menu. So we're going to start with a residential building, a small residential building. And first things first, I'll only use stuff that hasn't been modded. That way I'm not, I mean, there's no real point to it. I showed you how to get mods, but I'm just going to use just these tools here. And we'll go from there. So, firstly, we're going to explain how building parts work. We'll call this the main section. And now it's entered and it's changed the name here of this part. I'm going to build a few things here. The first floor we don't have to worry about. 0 counts as the ground floor. What I'm going to do is I'm going to build, first things first, an entrance for this building. It's very narrow. I might go with a roof edge. So that is 1 meter tall. So we'll do that and make sure it lines up. It does. Great. I'll delete those by clicking on them. Red is what's selected. You can hit delete to delete something. Next, I'll just keep building out. I'll build a really small building here. The by the way, rotating is done by the scroll wheel, which is why it's so quick. That's why it's probably killed someone already who has epilepsy. I shouldn't say killed. Shouldn't have said it again. YouTube will demonetize me for that more than likely. Also, to deselect something, you can just hit escape. We'll go to our next floor. Oh, did I not? New floor. The old floor must have not saved. Probably because I deleted everything off of it. That makes sense. Alright, let's do... I remember now, it's 255 that I want for this. 255 is the height I want because I want it to be... See how it meets here? Ooh, I can't. See how it sort of meets there with the height there? Also, a cool little tool as well that you might use. I don't think you'll use it in many buildings, but if you hold shift, you can freely move off the grid. So the grid, just keep that in mind. You can do this. Shift, click. That's another little tip I should say. So now I've got this little house here that's been built up. We could actually choose to build it taller. What I'm going to do is I'm going to copy the floor instead, which will give me this. It'll just instantly build the next floor up for me. Now this is awkward because there is actually a gap here that's very small. I can address that by building a floor that is 2.55. And then I can build a little edge here. And then the next floor can just be a single meter up. Oh, I forgot to build the last piece over here. There we go. Okay. Floor up. And then finally the roof. Ooh, right, again. I keep 2.8. I mean, I might as well decorate it a bit, actually. Why not? Okay. And then with that, we've got the whole building done. So, we've got 4 floors here, technically. There's actually 2. And it looks like a hideous concrete block. I'm sure you can build things better than this. Don't worry, I can too. And yes, I can see this little gap here. I'm not too worried about making this look pretty. You can worry a bit more about it when you play. But right now, I'm just trying to make this for tutorial purposes. This is a residential building. The default is residential. When we go into this building settings tab here, the quality of living, which is how good the building is out of 0 to 100. You can crank it up to 100 or whatever. You can be realistic. To me, this looks like kind of like a 50. Honestly, it's housing. And there's probably 2 apartments per floor. I'm seeing with the staircase in the middle. I'm thinking there's maybe, if you have, what, 2 grown-up citizens per apartment. I think there's like, yeah, we're looking at 8 people. Yeah, so 8 people in this little thing. I think that's fair. Next, we need to do connections. We only need one kind of connection for this, the pedestrian connection. And just line it up to here, near the door. You can have road connections. We'll talk about that later. And you can have vehicle parkings as well. We can do parking spaces, which are these ones here, but I won't address them here because I'll be addressing parking in a different section of the video. So this is the basic we need: electricity, heating, water, sewage. All of that will be coming off of substations. None of this gets directly pumped in, so we don't need to worry about that. You can add things like road connections. You can also add things like fence connections as well, especially if you want to make fenced houses as well. You can add them in, say, here, right, on the side of the building. You can do that, but I'm not going to do that. So that's all the connections we need for this little building. Next, we do construction phase, and we'll click on this phase. It's selected in red. We've got the groundworks. I'm just going to do, even though the cost coefficient, I could change it. I'll at least check and see what it looks like with a standard, like 100% normal cost for all the materials. And I do that by hitting connect part, and that's 5 tons of concrete, 3.8 tons of gravel. Honestly, yeah, that's fair. Only 50 days to do the groundworks. Yeah. Then what we'll do is we could end it here. We don't even have to add any kind of construction. You could have it just be free. I'm not going to make it free. I'm going to explain. I add another phase. Now in this phase, these are sort of concrete panels, so we'll go install prefab panels, wall concrete. So you change this to be what kind of material it'll be. And in this case, I want it to be concrete walls. Installing prefab panels, this will change the type of work that's being done. This will also lock buildings behind technology. In this case, prefabricated panels is a technology, and if it's set to this, it'll lock this building behind that technology. I'm going to just check. I think pouring concrete would be a good one. It is a very small one. I think because it's so simple, I'm not going to have it be a prefab. I'll see what it costs at 1. How much did that cost actually? Because it's... Ooh, okay. So it jumped up from 5 tons of concrete all the way up to 24. So that's nearly 20 tons of concrete in this alone. I think I'll decrease it a little bit by making it... And you can just see I've got it selected. You can select different phases and change them as you are. I'm going to change this to 0.9, and that should change up here, 22 tons. I could also make it higher as well, but I'm not going to do that, because why would I? No. But if you do feel like it should cost more, then you can always do that. So I'll leave it there at that. Then I'm going to go and add one last phase, which will be constructing the rooftop. And it'll be with steel. It's, yeah, I see that as steel. And the cost coefficient, well, let's see what that costs. Didn't look like, yeah, it only costs like 2 tons of steel. For that roof, I think that's a bit much. I'm going to put it down to 0.6. There we go, that's fair, yep. So this building, all in all, will cost 22 tons of concrete, 3.8 tons of gravel, and 5.7 tons of steel. And it's pretty simple. But we're not done yet. I've still got to add fire truck and crane positions. Now, you don't need to have... Technically, you don't need them. Right? If you don't play with fires, it's okay. But you really do want to have one. Whenever you hit this button as well, if it doesn't appear, just wherever the center of your screen is, just go searching in there, because that's where it always goes. It's always at the center of the screen. I think that should do it. Maybe put it... I'll probably put it like this. Yeah, just like that. So the crane goes here. Maybe back it off a scotch. Yeah, so the crane will go here, and it will build the rest of it. Yeah, I think that's good. And now we're done with this building. First, I'm going to go and save it. I'll just call it my building, why not? Then this button comes up. This button here will export this file to your game. Because right now, all it is it's just set up to be, it's just saved to be edited later. You can hit export to game, and now it's in the game. You can click it again, you can click this button to remove it. Simple, right? And now, we'll go and test that it's in the game. Here we are in just a randomly generated map. What we'll do is we've just got a blank piece of land. I've got things set to unlimited money. All I'm going to do is click on editor, and there it is, my building. And I can put it down, and oh my goodness, how tiny it is. If I place it down there, I'll actually place a few of these down in sequence, and you can see they're building now. Let's just quickly build a road, a couple of roads here, and give them something to go to. How about a clinic? And what about a shopping center as well? There we go. See, yep, simple as that. Works just like that. So now we've done a residential building, we'll now go on to make a school. It's not the next in the list, it's just the next one that's easier. So I've already gone through and explained how to build a building, so go and have a look at that in the previous section, the basics, if you haven't seen that already, or in the residential building, and then, you know, come back here. Unless you've watched the whole way through, then you'll see the entire building be put up right here. Okay, so here's the building fully built out. Now we can do the settings for it. First things first, I've already got it set to school. It'll be default set to residential. Just click across and you'll get to school. Now, I'm going to change these settings. It's a very small school. Looks like we'd have a... How I'm working it out in my head right now is there's a little hall here with some lockers, maybe about here. Then we've got, or maybe it goes like this and down to here. This is sort of the access to get out for all the kids to go to the playground or whatever. There's a mod for playgrounds, so I don't put them in. I don't put them in my builds like this. And then there's a little roof access here, so I'm thinking that there'd be a staff room somewhere here, a classroom, 2, maybe 3 classrooms in here. You can have 3 teachers for that, 1 per classroom. Maybe a 4th one, just to cover up the middle sections. Then you'd need a groundskeeper, so that's at least 1 worker. There'd be a couple receptionists, so we'd have 2 there. Maybe a 3rd one, and maybe another groundskeeper. No, we don't need another groundskeeper, actually. Because mostly what they're doing is maintenance, and that's infrequent enough that it won't be required too often. Let's see, what else would we need? We'd need assistants for each of the teachers, plus 1 extra. There'd also be a principal, so that'd be another professor. They'd need their own personal assistant as well, so that's 10 workers. And I think, yeah, a staff of 15 people, perfectly fine. And then we have 3 classrooms that could probably seat about 20 students each, so we'd want to have about 60 students. So this would be 100 students. I'm going to say 6, and that would be a 60 student school. Yeah, a 60 student school with 3 classrooms, and I'm not going to touch the temperature settings, leave it at that. Okay, so now that we're done with the settings for the school, we'll do the connections really quickly. I want a connection over here, and I do want a connection around the back as well. I'm not going to do anything else. We'll then go with construction phase. Okay, so I've got 3 phases here: ground, concrete, roof, and it comes out to just under 300 days, 36 tons of concrete, 8.8 tons of gravel, and 9.5 tons of steel. All good, settings are done. Now I can save it as my school. Then I'll export to game. We'll go test it. And if you're going to test a school, make sure you have complex education system set on. Simple will make all schools irrelevant. So no elementary schools, as it says here, will be needed. And that also means no kindergartens, so we're going to put complex on to make sure this works. If you don't plan to play with complex, you won't need to build a school anyways. Alright, so here we are once again. Let's quickly just pop down a few buildings. And then a school. And then, of course, we'll need to attach them all with a road. Sorry, a path of sorts. And with people moving, that means we know it works. So we can move on to the next part. Okay, so the next part, or sorry, the next building we're going to do is a shop. Another easy one, but this one does require a bit more work to go on. So we'll run through it now. First, I'll do some of the building, and then we'll come back once it's done. So here it is here. Okay, so we're back here with the building. Ignore the textures, that's just a bug that happens. It won't show up in the game like this. If I click on this, you'll see, yeah, textures are fine. Alright, so, first things first, before I even get into the settings, I actually want to do some stuff with connections, because what I do need, and I've already made it here, is this back lot here, which I need a loading spot for. So that will be, actually wait, it was a vehicle station I needed, not a vehicle. Oh, yeah, well, hold on, we'll get rid of that. Give me a sec. We're going to go with a vehicle station instead. And in order to have vehicles actually attached to this, I'm going to need a road connection in. Actually, one thing I do need to do, I've forgotten to do this, is to just put a little part out here. Something that denotes that this is... Let's put a little fence up. Like this. Just put a little fence up there, so now vehicles can come in. Actually, this should be a both ways. Like that. That way you can get in and out. Awesome. Great. There we are. So that allows all vehicles to move up and get into this loading spot. We then also need a pedestrian... Ooh, nope, that's not pedestrian. Pedestrian point. Right there. And that's all the connections done. Finally, we'll also do the building setting. Not finally. I will do building settings. We'll set it to a shop. Right? Say only 5 workers. 5 customers per worker. That. Tourist rating. Now, you can have a tourist rating. It just means that it attracts tourists. It's just from 0 to 5. I'm going to set it to 0. But all it really does is it attracts tourists, and that's another mechanic. I don't want this to attract tourists. It can, some shops do, like the default like big shopping center does. Now, we've got to determine what kind of store this is. Now, there's the different kinds of storages, these ones, which you can see they have different types of, products being sold here. The basic is just food, medium is food and clothes, advanced also adds electronics, and the medium advanced is clothes and electronics, so like a department store. This will have it be an advanced store, and it will have a storage size of 2, which will give us that much. Food, clothes, and electronics. We'll bump it up a tiny bit. Yeah. And that just says how much storage is available. Then we click add storage, and then it gets put into here. And yes, you can go add basic, and then just do food only, and then do medium advanced, or just medium, and then etc, etc. But we'll also have a cold storage with, let's go with a ton of meat as well, so that it has all of the items in there, and it's perfect. It's all simple as that. You can't fine-tune the exact tonnage of goods in a store, but it is good to have. But it's just based off of like multiplying half a ton. So don't worry about. You don't really need to fine-tune it. And in most cases, you'll probably want rounded numbers anyways, because it looks cleaner. Now onto the construction phase. Just quickly do that. And I think that'll do. That'll do. We'll do that. And then, now we've done the construction, we've done the connections, we'll also... Yeah, I won't do particles. We'll save this as my store. And then export to the game. And then we'll go test it. Alright, so here we are. We'll do it really quickly. We'll build some of these houses. And then we'll get a store. We'll also do a couple of other things as well. First things first, let's just grab some... Oh, actually, before I forget, let's build a road out of here first. And then I'll build a little thing like this, just so people can get to it. Actually, we don't want a road depot, my bad. Sorry, we want a distribution center, actually. So we'll get a small distribution center. Once that fully demolishes. Yeah, I can just buy it. Alright. Let's buy a refrigeration truck. Oh, yeah, right. Let's assign that. And let's get a cold storage. Cold storage. Cold storage. Meat storage. Here. And let's delete this food. Oh, hold on. There we go. Now, will this truck... Now let's see if this truck... Oh, right, I gotta assign as well. This. Now let's see if it moves and does anything. Aha, there we go. Look at that. And we'll watch it do its thing. Here we go. This little truck will go in, pick up the food. There it is. And it's going to go and drop it off right here. Perfect. Just like that. It works just like that. So now we'll go on to the next segment. So the next thing we'll do is a road depot. This is very simple. If you watch the shop one, it's going to be just as simple as that. Except we have even less to do. The only reason I'm including this as a significant part is because the mechanics are just slightly different. So I'll just cover all my bases and do it. You'll see the main building be put up right now. Okay, so here we go. Very small one. Got a little office for it, a little clock, little shelter there for people to go to. Now, simple as we just do the same things we did before. A road connection. We don't need a pedestrian connection for this one. So this road in and out connection is really important. The only times you'd want an in and out is if you've got a way to go in and a way to go out. In this case, it's the same for both. And what we'll do is we'll get a vehicle parking. We want vehicle parking. We'll move that across. Not like that though. Move that across there. If you see these green arrows, that's a good thing. And then just make a second one like that. Make sure it lines up just right. And there we go. 2 parking spaces, that's all. Nothing crazy. And then we move on to the building settings. All we have to do is set it to a road vehicles depot road. We can set it to trolley bus, but we're not doing that. We're going to do a road. We'll do trolley buses next. For now, just a road depot. Simple as that. Building phases, I'll skip over this. Alright, done with that. Then, all we gotta do is save this building once again. We'll call it my road depot. Export it to the game, and we'll go test it. Alright, here we are, and it's very simple to test this. We go into the editor once more. We'll find the road depot. This one will be very easy to test, because we only need to build 2 of the same building, and then build a road between the 2. Then I'll just buy a vehicle here. I'll just buy a bus, and I'll send it across to the other one. Yep, annoying that it picked that one, and then we'll set it across to the other one. Perfectly fine. Awesome. Works just as intended. And with that, we'll move on to the next part. So, I'm going to do a quick fire of a lot of other building types that I don't really need to make a new kind of building to show off and to explain. Some of them are very quick and easy to do. So I'll show you, first of all, a scrapping facility is very simple, right? You'll have the same, it's all of the same things that go into it. We have a vehicle station that is required to drop off things, and the only difference is that we have to add a storage, and the storage will be necessarily the vehicles that you want to scrap, and then also what you want to get out of it. You could have, so for instance, if you're going to scrap vehicles and trains, right? Well, you'll see trains in another section and how to do that. Then you can also have, say, general cargo. You can also have a dump as well. A scrapping facility can harvest materials out of these stuff, like metal scrap, aluminum scrap, etc. And for some reason, a scrapping facility allows you to also just put in a lot of really random things, like meat and animals. Ignore that. Ignore those. It'll just be random storage that you can add. You really only just need to add the storage for these things. And technically you can add a huge amount, and it'll be fine in a tiny little space like this. So, in order to do a resource visualization area, it's very simple. You just take this area, you draw, other way around, and you just draw an area. It shows you where the vehicles will be placed. So if you do really want to show where all these vehicles are going and before they're being scrapped, like they do with the scrapping facility in the game, you just put this down, make some space for it, and there you go. A sports playground. So a sports playground is the same thing as we've done previously with the shop. You even have the tourist rating as well included. Everything here is exactly the same, and you don't even need a storage facility. It's that simple, right? Storage is even simpler. So in this case, it's just a storage for whatever you want to store. You can store vehicles here, but that's like putting, say, a vehicle on a flatbed truck and leaving it there. Same with trains, general cargo, etc., etc. And again, we'll also talk about how you do it with trains as well in a later section. Specific, you can have like an aggregate storage here, or versus quarried stone. We'll do a gravel, and again, visualization area. There you go, there's the pile. Same with the other resources. You can have open storages like that, or closed storages, whatever you like. Technical services, just like a road depot. You just put parking lots down. Simple as that. The only difference is it has also got storages. For instance, fuel, which is the storage you can put into the technical service, right, to fuel the vehicles there. This is not a... This is like your snowplows, your water tankers, your sewage tankers, etc., etc. Universities are another easy one to explain. The only difference is they've got different kinds of types. So you have the Soviet, right, which is the party headquarters. So all of the universities that can study party headquarters stuff, that's what this building will be. Technical is technical universities, engineering and such like that. You'll see it in the research tree. And medical as well. Medical is obviously medical. And those are the quick fire ones. The others, like I just skipped over, like the water well, the sewage discharge, all that sort of stuff, I'll go over in a separate section, because they have got specific heights and mechanics to deal with. Also, ignore the fact that I'm currently showing a train station here. Ignore that. I'm going to go through some others that I didn't mention before, because I only went in one direction. I went to the right of residential. If you click on the left arrow, you're going to start noticing there's a lot of building settings that you may have thought were not in the editor, like a repair station. The repair station has some interesting mechanics, so I'm not going to talk about it here. It'll be a different section. Railroad transformers, I'm also going to go over in a later section as well. And yes, road, rail, that might be confusing. Don't worry, I'll explain it in the section. Railroad construction office, again, other section. The pub is just as easy as the store. The only difference is is that it has a special kind of a warehouse storage for alcohol. That's all. It still needs the station to drop things off. It has workers, customers per worker, and a tourist rating. It's just in a very different order for some reason. We're not going to go over production lines, but they're really cool. Power transformers, again, different section. Same as the substation, same as the power plant. We'll go over later. Pollution monitoring station. It's actually very easy. You just need a building. That's it. As you can see, there are no settings for it. If you don't know what a pollution monitoring station is, I'll probably make that in a different video to explain that. But I'm not gonna go through it here. It's just a building. Just build a building. Whatever you want it to look like. Police stations. These have a storage for fuel, just like hospitals, like technical services, etc. Unfortunately, police stations are completely broken in the building editor because you need professors, so you can't set that setting, and therefore every time you use the building editor to make a police station, it will always be broken. So unfortunately, yeah, you're gonna have to skip this one. But you can park police cars in there if you want, put fuel in there. It's not going to do anything though, because no matter how many people go in there, which is always capped at 20, nothing will happen. We'll go over this in another section, but platform station, road versus rail versus trolleybus, cableway, airplane, etc. You can probably guess how it works, but yeah, parking lots are very easy. The only difference is that you use vehicle personal parking, rather than the vehicle parking standard connection for it to work. And then it's as simple as just however many are there, you just add the number of vehicles needed. Vehicles needed, I don't want to go into how in-depth the game sort of works, so I'll just say this is how many parking lots are in the parking lot. That's it. Don't go crazy. If you set it to a different number, the AI will mess up, okay? Monuments. Monuments are very easy. It's a building. Just make sure it has some sort of path to get to. All buildings should have a path to get to, so that way they can be constructed. Loyalty radius, loyalty strength. If you know how the loyalty mechanics work, simple as that. The radius is measured in meters. Allow trespassing. I've not seen this change anything with it ticked on or off. Don't know what this actually does. I believe what it allows is that people can go in there. Not sure. Mines we'll go over in a different section. They're not very crazy, but we will go through all of that later in a different section. Kindergartens, just like schools. The difference is that instead of normal-aged kids, these are usually babies that we have to worry about here. Infrastructure element. This is just like, say, if you want to put down like a prop, you usually want to put it down as an infrastructure element. It's strange. Yeah, don't really like focus too hard on this. I don't imagine you'd really want to ever use this for things. Like, it's sort of like an empty building setting. It allows you to just build things with nothing going on. So there you go. Like, if you did want to build, for instance, if you wanted to build a roundabout, this would be a good way to do it, using like driver vehicle nodes with roads and such, or something like that, like a special overpass. This is a great place to put it. Hotels, just like every other building we've gone over before. You know, you have your like a shop. Sorry, you have workers, you have customers per worker, the tourist rating, which you should really have because all hotels need a tourist rating, otherwise they don't function properly. With storages, you do need storages for these. Oh, sorry, you don't need them, but it is good to have them because it means that the people who are coming into your city aren't putting an unnecessary burden on the infrastructure of your city. You've got your cold storage, your normal storage, simple as that. Hospitals, like I explained earlier with police stations, they have a storage for fuel. They also have workers, professors, same things like that. Vehicles needed is different. It'll be the amount of ambulance bays you have in the hospital. Simple as that. A heating transfer, we'll go over that in another section, same as a heating plant, heating exchanger, etc. Gas stations are actually pretty simple. You just need a vehicle station, which is where the vehicle will park to either add fuel into the station or to take fuel from the station and put it into the vehicle. And then all you need to do is put a storage down. Simple as that. We're not going to go over... Actually, we can go over garbage stand containers, because all they need is a vehicle station and a storage. That's it. You don't need to really put anything down, just enough that the game considers that a building is there. Forklift facilities are different. They just use a different connection type, which is the factory connection type. Other than that, vehicles needed, again, it's the vehicle parking spaces. The storage is just for fuel. That's all it is. I don't see a lot of people using forklift facilities, but if you do want to use a forklift facility, there you go. We're not going to use that. We're going to talk about that. I mean, there's not really much to talk about here, but when I go over piping and stuff, I'll talk about that. Fire stations, just like hospitals, just like police stations. Vehicles, fuel. You'll notice there's no section to set workers. Don't worry, that's not broken, because fire stations set their worker count based off of the fire engines that are selected and inside of a fire station. So it'll vary a lot depending on which kind of fire engine you put into a fire station. So keep that in mind, especially as you play the game. We're not going to go over farms. Farms are very different. Same as factories, we're not going to go over that. End stations, we're not go over that yet. Distribution offices. That's as simple as having vehicle parking stations. You can add a fuel storage, but that's it. Vehicles needed is just how many vehicles you can park in there. And then if you know how a distribution office works, it's as simple as that. That's what it will function as. Demolition office is, again, fuels in the storage, vehicles you can put in, etc. Very simple. It's the same as, not a cooling tower. Cooling tower, I'll explain what that is. That's for nuclear power. Conveyor and pipe engine, I'll explain that in a different section. The control tower is for airports, and it is very simple, but I'll go over it in a different section. The container facility, I'll go over that in a separate section, so don't worry about that. Construction office, just like a demolition office, it's just vehicles being parked in a bay, but they serve a certain function, right? So they'll all be construction vehicles. Simple as that. Just vehicle parking stations, then you put how many vehicles go into the construction office. Simple as that. City Hall is very simple. You just put down how many workers you want in the building, put a building down, give it a connection of some sort so people can build it. That's how simple it is, right? And it's just a building. If you know how city halls work, then you'll know pretty much it's just like that. That's all you have to do. Cinema is another one, just like a shop, except instead of dealing food and clothes and electronics and meat, it deals leisure in the form of multimedia. So you'll have the tourist rating. You don't have to have a tourist rating for a cinema. You can. You have workers. Usually you don't need professors for this. Technically, you don't need professors for anything, as long as you just set no professors. But having a few workers, and how many customers per worker, etc., etc. Very simple. Give it a connection, yada yada yada, right? A church. Now, there are no churches in the base game that you can build, but you can make one in the building editor, right? If you know how churches work, which you probably don't, they just satisfy a need, like a cinema, or like a sports playground. Churches just, however, provide a different kind of leisure. You have workers, customers per worker, professor settings, simple as that. Cargo stations we'll go over in a different section. Car dealers. Now, car dealers are pretty much a parking lot, right? With vehicle parkings. Car dealers also use personal parking spaces, just like parking lots, because they're actually selling personal cars, not normal vehicles. Though personal vehicles can also go into normal parking spaces, the amount of vehicles you can sell will be determined by the amount of personal car spaces you've left available in this car dealership. Broadcasting. Now, the mechanics for broadcasting are pretty simple. They all have the same radius, which is the entire map. Radio and television are the only two broadcasting you can do. Workers, professors, as easy as that, right? They don't change their efficiency or metrics in any other way. You just build the building, done. Simple as that. Now, an attraction is not the same as a monument, right? An attraction, as you can see, can have a score for different kinds of things. These are like your, as you see down here, carousel, pool, an art gallery, a museum, lookout locations, a zoo, etc. Now, this is just sort of, it helps you make more kinds of leisure, which helps satisfy your workers more. It might look like there's a lot of settings here, really not that hard, right? Be careful with alcohol, because of course alcohol does negatively impact health, but other than that, the settings are the exact same as every other. The only difference is these attractive scores. That just means, say, this place also gives out sports satisfaction, gives out cultural satisfaction, religious satisfaction, etc. And these subjects, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, sorry, if you have one of each, it makes their culture and leisure satisfaction higher, because workers will tend to seek out different kinds of leisure. We're not going to go over that, and that's the last one. So, yeah, sorry about the little mix-up there, but yeah, those are all of the building types, all of the settings so far. Just a quick rundown of them all, except for the ones that I'll go over in specific sections later. So, now we're going to go on to the railway and trains. Now, trains are actually really easy to do. In fact, I would argue they're easier to do than all road vehicles, as long as you know what you're doing, right? And, of course, me being the person teaching the tutorial, I know what I'm doing. I'll fast forward to once I've built a little building, and I'll show you a few little things. I'll make sure to include all the important bits that you'll require to build a building for trains. Alright, so you're now seeing the final building. It looks kind of like a train station. Ignore that. I'm not really putting too much effort in this, because I'm not really trying to make things look too pretty. Just sort of like throwing things there just to have some sort of semblance of a building. Now, what I'm going to be doing is a train depot. I've already selected it. Again, ignore this texture bug. This just sometimes happens. I can't really replicate it perfectly, because sometimes sometimes it's completely frequent, whatever. Ignore that. So the way we add train rails, we go into our connections tab. What you'll notice is that there's nothing in here about, say, rails, because rails are only ever straight. And we put them in just like so. Like that, and like that. And you want to make sure that there's a line going between, just like this. Simple as that. You want to have a clear space on both sides for your rail to go through. And the game will automatically put it in for you. How handy is that, right? And, I mean, obviously, we'll just quickly do this, add that, so that way it is built. So, first things first, save this as train depot test, and I'll export it to the game, and we'll go and test it in the game. Alright, so here we are, we're in the game. You'll notice that I haven't got anything else here. Don't worry, that's not a bug or an error. I purposefully deleted all the other test buildings, because I don't really need them. Now, a handy little thing, and you're probably noticing that it says that the train depot, allows for trains that are up to 150 meters. Now, that building is less than 30 meters or something. I can tell you that now, because each of the squares in the editor, like I said earlier, is exactly 1 square meter. So, how have I done this? Because the game, in order to stop bugs and, I assume, game-breaking issues happening, defaults the depot to exactly 150 meters. Once you build beyond 50 or so meters, it'll actually start properly recording the length of the depot. But I didn't do that because I'm lazy. And as you can see here, it's allowing me to buy a train for the depot, and I'll even show it moving between two of the same depot to prove that it works, and that you can have a rail go between them. So now that we've gone over how to build rail infrastructure, and we've also gone over how to build road infrastructure, and we've established the fact that trolley buses don't work in the game, or at least the building editor, we'll go over cableways later, but we'll now go over a couple of settings for interesting things like the platform/station. So for road, in the case that it was a road station, this would simply be a bus station, right? That I think most people could have figured that one out. Rail station, a simple rail station. Trolley bus doesn't work. Cableway, we'll go over it later, and we'll also go over what engine speed means. But it works the same way as a road and a rail station. A place for people to go to get to another place, and for other people to be picked up for other things. We'll also go over what an airplane station is later. With airplanes, yeah, you can probably figure that one out too. Anyways, the one unique part, obviously, is citizen capacity, but also the worker platform. You don't need this to work, but it helps visualize where people are. Now, unlike the stations in the vanilla version of the game, you can't exactly put people on a platform for some reason. It doesn't let you, it doesn't let you put them on top of things. You have to have them on the ground floor, which is slightly annoying, because the whole point of having a platform is so that you can get on. So I recommend having, if you want to have people turn up, right, and sort of be shown here, like that, yes, as you see, it is also measured directly to how many citizens fit in that area. You probably just want to have like a space on the ground and then have like a small area where they get up to, so it looks more convincing, because yeah, people phasing through platforms doesn't look very fun. And yeah, I've tried several times, like if you go into building settings, you go up to the top floor and then you try and set it, it just doesn't work. See, it just doesn't work. I'll delete those now because I'm going to move on to another part. We're going to move on to railroad construction offices. As far as I've been able to test, rail construction offices are completely broken in the building editor. No matter how hard you try, they just seem to not work. Yeah, depots work, but not the rail construction office. They don't seem to be able to hold on to trains or display storages. I'm assuming that the coding for it is broken, hence why it says workers needed, which rail construction offices don't have workers necessarily. They base their worker count off of the trains you put in. And also the rail distribution office is bugged as well, and it doesn't work. So don't get your hopes up trying to build one of these either. Okay, so now you're probably looking at this and thinking, what goodness gracious monstrosity is this? This is a water tower. I know. Hold your applause. So instead of bothering building anything fancy, yes, I'm getting to that point, I'm just going to go through the settings, because this is the most important part, right? Now, we're going to go over water, sewage, and heating all in one go, right? Because they're all pretty similar. Now, first things first, because I haven't done it yet, specifically for this, you'll need if you're doing it, you'll have to have, depending on what you're building. In our case, this is a water facility. What a water facility is a water tower or a water splitter. Something, it's essentially something where water can go in and then water can go out of, right? Via pipes. So we're gonna do. Why does it say airplane parking? That's so weird. So these are water out so I'm just going to put like, what? I'm going to put as many as I want down. And then some water inlets there like that. And I'll put another one out on the side there. That makes things a lot easier. You don't need to put that many in. Put as many as you think is appropriate, etc, etc. And for building settings, engine speed. So engine speed is the amount of water that it can move in cubic milliliters. Water storage height. You can leave it at 0 as long as you have an engine speed. This will demand energy, by the way, because of that. It'll always demand energy, but what you can do as well is you can have the engine speed be really low. And so long as the water height is really tall, like let's say in meters, it's 1,800 meters tall, right? So the water is being held at 1,800 meters high. That's a whole nearly 2 kilometers tall, which means pretty much every building in the game will be able to be sustained by just the gravity of water being pushed down from the water tower. You'll still need an engine because you have to pump the water up. The way water works in this game is if the height of the water is going, if there's enough height, then water will, all liquids will flow downwards, right? So that's water and sewage. The flow is based on gravity, right? The game will take the consideration of how tall something is, and all of the water towers that are in the game are actually based off of their actual height. So as long as you line up the height of a building, the building's topmost floor versus the water tower that you put in the city or the town or whatever, it should be able to, without any engines, pump water to all of those places by gravity alone. But you can also add an engine. You can put this to 0 if you want. I would just recommend putting it at something, especially if, sorry, you can put it at 0, it won't work. Put at least 1, right? I'm going to put it at 50, because we're also going to need some storage for this. So I'll add that storage. That's the storage for it. I'm not going to test this, because I already know it works in the game. And we'll just quickly go over everything else. So that's the water facility. The sewage works almost identically. Sewage treatment is only a little different in that it will take in, so it'll take in sewage like this, and then it will, you don't use this output, you actually want to use this output, a water output, because it'll take wastewater and it will produce normal water, right? Pretty cool. Then... by the way, the base game one does not do that. The base game water treatment just produces. It doesn't do anything. It's just for like roleplay. That's literally all it's for. It's so dumb. All right, water storage height. So again, sewage substation. You can add a sewage tank here. What a sewage substation does is it takes in sewage from buildings, and it will take a sewage outlet. Oh, let me put it down. Okay, it doesn't want... Yeah, I don't have space for it. There. And it will take the sewage and pump it out, right? Well, it won't pump it out, sorry. A sewage substation doesn't pump anything out. Instead, it will just sit in a tank. You will need to have it go from a high point to a low point. All sewage is pumped from buildings to the tank, though, so don't worry about having to, like, pump sewage into it. Sewage is automatically pumped into it from buildings, and you don't need to put pipes out for it if you've played with sewage and water before. The water will then go down to wherever you're going to put it. Sewage facility is just like a water facility. It's where sewage can go in and out. That's the basic. That's all it does, right? It's also how you make pumps. You can make ridiculously tall sewage towers. I really don't think that would be a good idea, honestly. A sewage discharge. Make sure the water height is 0, right? Because the sewage will be going... I mean, it can be higher than 0, but You'll never need it any higher than 0 anyways. You can put it at 3000 if you want. It doesn't make any different. Don't make it negative. I don't think you can make it. Yeah, you can't make it negative anyways. This will always just work no matter what number you set it to. What it will do is it will take sewage and shoot it out. Heating plants, simple as is it'll produce heat. Now you can set it to have no resources, and it will just produce. It'll just produce heat, right? By work. That can be your way of making, say, a geothermal heating plant. But you can also make the consumption of resources be like, for instance, hazardous waste. And it burns like hazardous waste, like, you know, it burns maybe nuclear waste, right, or whatever, and creates heat off that. The actual production of heat is based off of the amount of workers you have. So that's all it really is. Consumption, loading, consumption, unloading, loading factor, unloading factor. Don't touch it, just leave it as it is. You can mess with it. All it really does is change the speed at which things are put from a truck into the building. But yeah, don't touch it. It works perfectly fine at 1. Though if you do use aggregates, play around with that number a bit, you might find it easier to unload lots of aggregate with a higher number. Okay, so after testing the heating transfer, it works, but it is really slow. So I wouldn't recommend using the heating transfer. It's just really slow. Like, it just doesn't work very well. Like, the base game ones and modded ones work much better. There's a rate at which it can transfer heated gas, and that rate is too slow. So don't use that. Heating exchangers, though, they do work properly. So they're fine, because it just matters how much you put into it. So if you're fine to make heating exchangers, just don't do heating transfers. They just seem to be really bad in the game. Or at least they're bad in the building editor. Water substations, you can have a height to them. Doesn't matter. In fact, it's best to keep them at 0, because remember, this is the end point for where we're putting water, right? We want this to be as low as possible, so that way water travels down towards it. The water substation from here has a little mini pump inside of it. Make sure you don't need a water storage here, but it's always best to have one. It doesn't need to be very big, it just needs to have enough there that water will go through it to all the buildings around it. Having a water tank in here does allow for demand surges to be mitigated. Water treatment. If you know how water treatments work, essentially it brings in, it doesn't bring in just wastewater, it also brings in normal water. So be careful of that. The consumption of which you can change here, and then you can also change the amount it produces, right? Which does mean that in this case, and it already is in this case, 1 cubic meter of wastewater can become 10 cubic meters of water. Like, these chemicals just like multiplied the water out of nowhere. Yeah, and then you can have a water tank here as well, and also a warehouse for, oh no, they didn't do it properly. Well, yeah, there we go. At least you can make sure to tick import special warehouse for the chemicals to store them, because this doesn't have, like, it says that that's the consumption. That's not a storage, remember. You need this as a storage, and while you don't need a water tank specifically in the water treatment facility, it's always best to have one for demand surges, especially since the water treatment will stop working if it can't give out water, right? But also do remember that the water treatment can also take in normal water, so also give it a normal standard water in and out. Water well. So a water well takes the water out of the ground, and it'll be based off of the quality of water. You'll see it when you're placing it down. Workers, water storage height is where it pumps the water up to, and of course make sure to give it a water tank. And for some reason it does allow you to put in like bricks for some reason. Yeah, simple as that, and that's the final one. That should be all of the water, heating, and sewage. Electricity will do next. Power plants. So power plants are pretty simple. You can consume resources. You don't have to consume resources. You can make a wind turbine, etc., etc. This is where I'm going to show you a few other things as well. Storage. Make sure if you're going to be bringing in a sort of storage. Hold on, let me show you this. So you're gonna have to go. Let's say we're burning wood. Where's wood? There, right? Add a storage. Now you can import the storage. That's why you didn't see it earlier. So make sure you've put the consumption of resources in first, then add the storage next. That's how you know. That's how you get storage for this. You can have open space, have it pop down like that. Ignore the fact that that's prefab panels. In the game, it'll be correct. You have workers, which changes the amount of consumption and the power produced. So you can't really choose power stations. Professors, you don't need any, but you can have them if you want. Loading factor, unloading factor, again, usually you don't need to touch these, so don't touch, like, they're not really going to change the overall efficiency. But yeah, simple as that. You'll also want some connections, in this case not heating ones, so it's just doing the heating stuff. You can do electricity low, you can do it high, doesn't matter. Just as long as you have one or two or a million, not much to do there. You can also use these as like fake power lines as well. Which are trolley roads, by the way. You can use those to make power lines if you want. They don't do anything, so they're actually just decorative. Actually, you know what? We can do cooling towers now. So with nuclear power plants, you can build a cooling tower. Just remember to give the cooling tower a steam in and out connection. Otherwise, it won't work. Power substation. All right. I went the wrong way. Sorry. Okay, so power substation. This is where power will come in and then deliver. Let me get rid of that. It'll come in and then deliver it to residential buildings, workplaces, etc., etc. Power transformer. This is just moving power in and out, right? It doesn't distribute it to buildings, so in this case, it would just take power in and then transform it and throw it out. It doesn't have to transform it. The power transformer just takes energy in and then throws it out. That's all it does. We'll move on to another section now, not related to utilities. Okay, so we're doing a factory next. I've already pre-done all of the stuff. I've gone over settings so many times now. I think that if you've watched any of the other sections related to anything with storage, you'll know how this works. But I'll just quickly go over it again. You edit the consumption of resources, what the factory will consume in the production of the resources, which you then add, which means, yes, you can have corn be turned into, where is it, nuclear fuel. Yeah, okay. Yeah, Khrushchev is cheering. And then, of course, you then need to add a storage, the import storage for the crops. Then you need to add a storage for the export. Simple as that, right? You have your workers, which determines how quickly they can do it. Professors as well, you can add if you want, but the workers are the ones who do most of the work. Consumption, unloading, etc., loading factor. Don't touch those. They're fine. The ones that you may want to touch, required water quality out of 100%, which is measured from 0 to 1, with decimal points like 85 right here, which means that the factory, if you're playing with water, needs at least 85% quality water. Sewage pollution is the amount of sewage it produces. So if you're dealing with sewage, it'll produce, I forget how much, I think it's like 65 cubic meters per day, or like work day, which is 8 hours, I think. The more important part, which I will classify as another chapter, even though it's part of this, is particles, right? And there you go. You can see I've already put down particles, right? Now, don't worry. The particles here will not be like this all the time, right? Particles on a factory have a special condition, right? Or on all buildings, actually, they have this special condition. When a factory is sitting idle or a building is sitting idle, it will not produce particles. If, however, it is producing materials, it will emit particles like this. For a factory, that means if no one's working in it, it looks like that. If, however, it is working, it looks like that. If it's a house, it'll almost always look like this, so long as people are inside, which is almost all the time, right? So if you want smokestacks to come out when something's happening. That's exactly what they're pre-programmed to do. Fountains, fountains work the same way. They'll only be produced when the building is active. But in the case of some building types like a monument or a statue, they're always on, right? They're always working. Same with residential buildings, right? And also fountains, they will only go off as well if they're being given water. Or if you've toggled off water, then it works fine, right? So as long as the building is working, right, it will produce smoke. Or whatever particle you've set, right? Just think of it like that. Alright, and so in the spirit of the last section, I'm just like speed running these now. Farms are very simple. You need vehicle parking sections, and that'll determine how many vehicles can be sitting here. Vehicles needed. Again, that's just how many parking spaces you have. You'll need at least 3. You don't need 3, but you need a sowing and a plowing vehicle. But you really do want a covered truck that can also move liquid fertilizer onto a farm patch. And you'll want an oil tank with liquid fertilizer to improve the crops. If you know how farm crops work, you know how it be. You'll need a vehicle station, of course, to import and export all the grain. You may want to, and again, you can also do this with rails as well. I should always say that, like, all the stuff you can do with rails, but yeah, you can probably figure that out on your own. I've tested this stuff, obviously it works. Yeah, easy as that. Don't touch anything else. A mine is very simple. You'll need a vehicle station as well. You will need vehicle parking for some of them. In other cases, not. Most mines just operate, like for instance, oil, just operate as they do, right? And in the case of oil, you'll want to add a pipeline. In other cases, you might want to add... I mean, you don't need a pipeline. You can have it be trucked out with an oil tanker, but it's always way more efficient to use a pipeline. In the case of iron, you can use cableways, or you can use the conveyor belts, or whatever they're called. Yeah, they are called conveyor belts. And then with that, you can use workers, you can have a storage, etc. Same with the oil one. You can also use an excavator, I believe, because you can do that with gravel and coal. Wood as well, just needs to have trees around it. Simple stuff, right? All of these, if you know how mines work in the game, you're just doing that based off of the stuff we've already learned before. Always make sure to have storage there, even if they're just going to immediately export it. So previously we talked about factories. Now production lines are different, right? Production lines are how we actually build vehicles. So this is how you can build your trains, your planes, and your cars and your trucks and all that. It already gives you the like sort of perfect amount, right? You can't really fuck with it in any way, so don't try to. Like, yeah, as you see, me messing with those settings doesn't make this any faster or any slower. So you'll always need to add some sort of storage like this. In this case, I'm going to add about 20, which gives me a few resources. And then, lastly, no, I need a open space for vehicles. Oh, that's broken. Oh no, import, there we go. Strange stuff. Alright, and there we go. Simple as that, right? You configure it to be road, rail, or airplane. The only difference between them all is that for rail, you'll obviously need you don't need a rail, actually. You don't need rail connections. You can still move rail vehicles via a flatbed truck, but it is good practice to have a rail there. You could alternatively build an airplane, and airplanes just need aluminum. That's the only difference you need, and just make sure that you are hitting the correct one. I'll just modify the storage. It doesn't allow me to put in aluminum, which is really annoying. There it is. There's aluminum. But it's in such a... Alright. Don't try and make airplanes, it seems. The storage settings seem to be a bit... It's not that they're broken, it's just really annoying. I imagine that you can do open space, import, and because of the way it's configured, you can set it in the game. But yeah, the airplane one is a bit dodgy. Okay, so it's about high time I started talking about railroad transformers. Now, the reason why you can set it to road or rail is just simply because you might want a crossing where you have the transformer. I would almost always recommend against this. What a railroad transformer is you'll have a train rail going like this, and you'll have a power coming in. Electricity needs to come in. This is where the electricity from the grid comes onto the railroad grid, because the rails have their own wires, and they need electricity. They don't just magically get it from anywhere. They can't get it off a substation either. It has to come off the line itself, right? And what else haven't we done? Repair stations. We should do repair stations. So a repair station needs production line storage. You're essentially just fixing cars. Now, workers will essentially set how many people can, how quickly it can be fixed and how much can be fixed at a time. The base is 15, but Building Editor always just has the basic 100 as the default, so be careful of that. It would be a very, very productive repair station, so be warned. Now, the storage, yeah, again, just that. You don't need to, but you'll want to have vehicle parking stations, because you can park a covered hull truck, which will take some of the resources and go and fix vehicles within the range of the building, not this repair area radius. The repair area radius is, if you've ever placed a repair station, it has an orange circle in which all of the vehicles in that radius within buildings will also be repaired. So, you can set this to a massive 1,000 meter radius. The base is, I think, just 50 or something similar to that, so keep that in mind when you're configuring this. The repair station will affect the entire radius. Now, you may want this to be smaller for a good reason, because if you put anything in that repair radius, if that vehicle starts getting fixed at a particular time, it then sets that vehicle with a timer. For a standard in-game year, a vehicle will no longer be fixed again, or attempted to be fixed by the repair station. So if something is being moved around a lot, that will probably not ever get fixed and cause problems. Though, it won't be the worst. It won't be the end of the world, right? Container facilities is really simple. You just need a space for vehicles. Where are they? Vehicles and containers. You just need a space like this. Even though it says vehicles, containers in the game are considered vehicles. And it's just a place where you need a station like this. A road connection in and out, and you can move containers in and out. That's all it really is. Okay. So, we're going to go over a few more things. Now, in this one, we're doing airplanes and everything revolving around airplanes. Okay, so an airport road connection is simply just a way to get from a road to an airport taxiway. This is for things like bringing in planes via a truck, fire trucks, etc. These work just fine. All they do is just move road vehicles onto taxiways. It's like a security gate thing. And honestly, if you do want to build an airport, it's really good to build one of these and then build a fence around them as well, so that way you can have a fenced-in airport. So the control tower, simply put, you just put a few professors in. You need some in there, but so long as it works, all of the nearby and assigned runways and taxiways will work. If you don't have a control tower, airplanes can't move. If you've wondered why, that's what's going on there. The platform/station, this is for your airport terminals. Airport terminals do not need parking. You can add some if you want, but the correct way to do it is you have a building, and in that area there will be an area for whatchamacallit. There'll be an area where you can attach parking to. So don't go and like throw parking on. It's better to just throw parking like this later, and simple as that. So you can have your capacity for how many people can be in there, and you can add a storage for fuel. So earlier I would have gone over airplane production, and yes, the production is in fact, it's difficult. You can get you can get aluminum in via open storage. It's difficult to do otherwise, so maybe give it a miss. Okay, so yes, this is an incredibly detailed building. I'm going to use this later, so I wanted to put a bit of effort into it. Right now, we're going to be going over the scrapping facility, which I believe, if I'm doing all the recording correctly, is the very last part of this entire tutorial, before we talk about workshop stuff. So, first things first, I've already done this. I'll just do that real quick. So it has a cost. And I'll just go back to the scrapping facility. So, I'll leave it at 20 workers for now. I'll fine-tune it later. But we just need a storage for vehicles. This one will be a road scrapping facility, but you can do the same with rail. I'm going to move them over here, actually, because it's probably a better place to put them. Okay, so ignore pretty much all of the storages I'm doing here. You only need the vehicle storage and the dump. I made the mistake of adding all the different parts. You actually need a sorting facility, so like a recycling plant. That's just a factory that you can make. Yeah, don't do what I'm doing here on screen. So, lights. Lights are very simple. You can add a light, like so, and it will come up like that. Simple as that. But there's some other things here. You've got sliders for RGB. Yeah, good luck trying to figure this one out for a lot of things, but let's say you want a blinking, like small red light. You do it like this. Okay, so we're going to go through finally a couple things. One, cableways don't work. I'll just say that straight away. Because you can't move connections up floors, they don't work. Since cableways can't drag along the ground. Easy as. Now we're going to get into the workshop stuff. So, let's say you've made a building, you really like it, and you want to export it onto the workshop. Now, this took me like a whole day of troubleshooting to actually figure out, because there's one single easy little bit of line of code that you're meant to put in that no one seems to put down in their tutorials. So, first things first, we'll go through the process. You want to make your mod. The first thing you do, right, after you've made your building, your workshop, your items, right? Now, this one here, this mod, check it out on the Steam Workshop, it's in the description. All you have to do is to hit this button here, create new item. You give it a title. You determine what kind of file it'll be. What will it do, right? In our case, it's a building, right? We'll tick made in editor, and whatever kind of building it is, tick that as well. You'll search for an image on your hard drive. For my case, it was this one. Then, what you'll want to do is go to your item description, and you'll need to put a file in here, a text file. Now, every time you want to update your workshop file as well, you will go to this spot here, and you will click a tick that will be here instead. In my case, I'm not going to do this, I'm not going to tick it, but that's how you make the file, and it will say unpublished, blah 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 blah. Once we've done that, what we can do is we can go to our Steam page. So, not our Steam page, sorry, our Steam library. Go to Workers and Resources Soviet Republic, right-click on the game itself, go to Manage, Browse Local Files, bring up this folder here. We go into the Media Soviet folder, we scroll down to the workshop _ work in progress, or WIP without a H, and we'll find a folder here with the same number as the one here in our items section in-game. In the case of the mod I've already made, it's 319.529.3401, right? And there it is there. And this is exactly how you should organize your folder for your mod. What you'll want to do, make a folder inside this folder. This is where all of the files are going to go. You can name it whatever you want, it doesn't matter, I just named it 1. Okay? Makes sense? You'll want to have a preview image here. You'll already have a preview image here, and you'll have a workshop config.ini file. Both of these need to be here, right? Once they're both here, we're not going to edit this. This stays, this will be given to you, right? This will be essentially what is written down here. What's written down here will be whatever's in this section here, right? That is automatically generated. Don't touch that. Do not touch this file. You can edit this, rename it to previewimage.png, and you can have whatever the hell you want here. It'll have to be a fairly small file as well, below 2 megabytes. Now in the folder, we're going to need a few things. You don't need all of these files. Building.bbox is not required. In fact, I just have it there because I stole it from someone else, don't tell them. I forget who I stole it from. Building.fire is an automatically generated one, you will have that file. Building.ini will describe all of the patterns and everything of the building itself, element script, etc., etc. Final MTL, NMF, MTL, right? Image GUI.png is something you can edit yourself, and it's actually something I'm going to edit later, actually, because I've found that this image is too small. The workshop image as well, you can have this here, you don't need this here. We'll get to that part later, because you're probably asking me, wait, where is the files? Where are the files? I don't have half these files. Of course you don't have these files. What we're looking for, we currently just have a folder with basically nothing in it, right? What we need to do is we need to go to our building editor. We need to check this here. So the current one I've got here, the Makoyanka A, it's in a folder called 6068 underscore Makoyanka A, right? This helps us find it. We're going to look for this folder, which will be in Media Soviet, be building editor, user buildings, and there they are. We want to go into this folder and copy all of this. We'll copy all that, and we'll change this to something we want, because that's an ugly image. We'll take all these images, right? Sorry, all these files, and then we'll put them back in that work in progress folder. Back in here. We'll put most of them, we'll put pretty much all of them in here, in this folder. And that puts the files, they actually put the files in, right? So that we can use them. So just to quickly summarize it, you make the folder by going into the game and creating a workshop file. You then, after you successfully created that file, you can then find the building, grab the files from there, throw them in the folder, make sure that there is a subfolder in there, right? Because without a subfolder, it tends to not work. This is the most reliable way to make this work. Okay, and so now that we've got so maybe you've probably gone off, edited the images, whatever, made sure they're all there, make sure they're all the right names. Pause the video if you have to just check the names of all these. Now, I did tell a lie earlier. We are going to edit this, right? There's one single line of code that makes this all work. Open the workshop config.ini file. You want to put this line of code in here. $, in all caps, object underscore building space. And this is whatever, this section here, after a space, is whatever the folder name is. In my case, it's 1, which is really easy to do. It's as simple as that. Then once you're done with everything, you've edited all the files, just make sure to go back to the original file in the game and save the change. So that way, all of the files in the folder will be uploaded to the Steam Workshop. If you don't save it and if you don't press the tick in the Your Items section of the game, it will not update to the workshop. And for an example of how to do multiple buildings in one file, here we go, this one's going to be one. Alright, here's a good one. So a whole bunch of different buildings here. See this? All of the folders are named, right? They all have a name, and they're all set to whatever the folder names are. Except for this one, because it's the material folder. Okay, that makes sense. So yeah, every folder you want to put in, make sure it has a $, object, and the building, and then whatever the heck the folder's name is. And in the case that you want to add multiple, you just do it like this. So thanks to, which mod is this? So yeah, thanks to TomTomTotal for that one. So yeah, if you do still have problems with that, I would recommend trying to get onto the Discord and asking there. Not my Discord, I can always help you out on. You can always comment in the video as well. Or if you want, you know what? Yeah, you can also get to the Discord. I'll link it in the description if I'm allowed to link it. Otherwise, this should be everything you need to know about the building editor and everything you would possibly want to do or know. And until next time, I'll catch you around. And next episode, by the way, is going to be an episode in the main series. So look out for that. Alright, bye now.